life? Life! CBD is life! So let's clear the air on what is marijuana. And I like that sign. Got it. That's how I do too. Hemp versus marijuana. Because is anybody confused or like a little muddy? What's the difference between like hemp, industrial hemp versus marijuana? And I know a lot of people ask, and when I post on Facebook, people are like, that's the devil's lettuce. I'm like, it's CBD. You know? So, is anybody trying to talk to a friend and they said, that's the devil's lettuce? And you're like, no, it's industrial hemp. Unless you're talking about the other stuff, right? So hemp is interesting because it grows really tall. Is my friend, she's not here, she's in Northern Illinois. She just leased like a couple acres of land and she is growing hemp, industrial hemp on her property. And I was talking to her yesterday and she's like, in Wisconsin, she's like, Jen, this is the coolest stuff. It's like as tall as me. I mean, she's like, it's like an inch in the, you know, and she was just telling me all about it, geeking out about everything. It's very different. It's very stocky. It's got the little leaves on the top. And you all know, like the marijuana plant, it's like a bush, you know, and then the leaves come off of it and the buds and all of other things. So the hemp has about 0.3% THC in the plant itself. And it's 18 to 27% CBD. Now, the marijuana plant is 50 to 60% CBD and 10 to 15% CBD, or 50 to 60% THC, and 10 to 15% CBD. I got a glare here, you guys, it's really like hitting me in my eyeball. So, what was interesting, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she said, Jen, we have to keep testing the plants, because when it gets to a certain point of THC, which is very minuscule, we have to harvest it right away. And we can't like let it keep growing. So I thought that was really cool. It was funny that she happened to actually, and her and I had that conversation right before I did this. So like, what's the difference between hemp and marijuana? Well, they're both in the cannabis family. So it's kind of like having, you know, does anybody here a biology or science major? Do you remember Kingdom, Phylum, Coffee, or KP Coffee, oh, for goodness sake? Kingdom, Phylum,
Class, order, family, genus, species.
Yeah, order, phylum, yeah, species. So like, cannabis is up here, and then you've got the marijuana, and then you've got the hemp, which we are talking about today. So there's many varieties. It has very low THC. So when people think that hemp and marijuana are the same, they're not. They're like cousins and they're like sisters, but they're not the same in many ways. So let's get into a little bit of the history. You know, I don't know about you guys, you know, we're kind of into botanicals, you know, all of us, I'm assuming, like we love plants. We love what plants do. And there's an incredible history with cannabis as well, being such a powerful medicinal plant. Just like there is with opium and the coca leaves and things that you have gone really bad on the streets, right? It all starts with something, a botanical. And sometimes those botanicals become very powerful medications for people. And so the history of cannabis is one of the earliest known cultivated plants. It was obviously used for medicine, but it was also used for industrial purposes, even back long ago. You know, using it for ropes and using it for blankets and using it for satchels and all those things. It's very strong and it grows very fast. Like my friend said, it's like this tall. It's the first, they just planted it like not that long ago. It's been used in farm for at least 12,000 years. It's a long time. And it's been used medicinally for at least 6,000 years. So there you go. So here's some even recent, like more modern times with cannabis, is that some of these companies you may have heard of before, Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Park Davis, and others had medical cannabis products. I'm like an antique person. Anybody here nostalgic or antique kind of? How many of you are jonesing for those bottles right now for your collection of stuff? Like I'm like, oh, I'd love to have those bottles. They'd be cool, like in a cabinet. So it was the third most prescribed medicinal agent for over 60 years prior to its prohibition in 1913. 1937. I might have to take these off. It's got a glare. My eyeballs. So this, was used very commonly at the time. And then some of you know the history of the medicines that started being synthesized, and a lot of things that were naturally derived were no longer available. So today, what's interesting, that in 2018, there was a drug approved by the FDA called Epidiolex. It is very high CBD, low THC, cannabis derived from marijuana. You guys check out that sticker price on there? $2,500 to $5,000 a month for this medication. So can you kind of see why there's some gray area with the legislation with hemp in our country right now? Because there's some big money on the table with this, right? So is it safe? This is really important because a lot of people, and you guys don't need to raise your hand, but I know there's people in the room here, and I know you have people you know that are kind of tentative to start using it. Because you're like, how do I start? Like, is it safe? Do I do a little? Do I do a lot? How do I even begin? Well, the World Health Organization has found that there's no abuse or dependency potential. Because some people are afraid, even with hemp, that they're going to get addicted to it. Now, essential oils is a different story, But, like in all reality, I can't imagine life without oils, to be honest, but there is no abusive or dependency potential. Same with essential oils, except for your love for them. And there's no evidence or risk with pure CBD. And we're going to talk about not pure CBD in a little bit, because CBD cannabis is an amazing plant. My bachelor's, I'm going to get ahead of myself. I gotta wait for those slides. Let's just say my sciencey brain understands why we use this plant for other things, which I'm getting to in a little bit. So the World Anti-Doping Agency also says that CBD is not a banned substance for the athletes. I also did just verify that before this presentation. That is still true. But I will tell you, like myself, I show horses. Anybody here competitively show horses? The United States Equestrian Federation does not allow you to use CBD. But the World Anti-Doping Agency says your rider can be using CBD. I'll be like breathing on my horse. Well, I accidentally brushed up against her. That still makes no sense. But just FYI, if you are showing horses and you are showing USEF, do not give CBD to your horse. You'll be in trouble. You get drug tested. So how does it work? Even though we know there's no psychoactive effects, it's just there's still a lot of misconception, you guys. That's part of this. So why does it work? I'm going to say some big words, and we're going to do a sing-along here in a second. So our bodies make these things which there's very little science and understanding even about this system, the endocannabinoid system. Really cool, a lot of new research that we're just starting to understand how this works. So the endo means within, like endocrine, right? The word endocrine, within, system. So the endocannabinoid system is the body's primary tool to help you seek out homeostasis. So we're going to say this together. Endocannabinoid. Okay, ready? Go again. Endocannabinoid. So when you're talking to somebody and sharing CBD, you can talk about endocannabinoid system. So there's two primary endocannabinoids in the body that they have found. They're always finding new stuff. 2-AG, and the reason why I don't have the big word out there, it's like 500 syllables, and I really don't want to say it. But that's how everybody refers to it, as 2-AG. This is the most abundant endocannabinoid in the body, and research is looking at this one specifically for cancer proliferation. This is your own cannabinoid that you produce. You know what one of the highest substances of cannabinoid, can't say, like untwisted its tongue. Mother's milk is extraordinarily high in cannabinoids. Isn't that cool? Makes you wonder, like babies that are breastfed, they're kind of happy, you know. I don't know if mom produces THC. I do not think so. But you know, there's a lot of those endocannabinoids are in the mother's breast milk. Important thing, isn't that interesting? The anandamide is the bliss molecule. That is the other primary endocannabinoid found in the body, human body. But what these endocannabinoids do is they help your body find homeostasis, which means balance. Your movement, your appetite, your immune system, your energy, your circulation, your bones, your muscles, everything. Everything. And I'll explain why. This. Your endocannabinoid system acts like the conductor in the front of an orchestra. So that system is going, come on, instruments, I want you to be coming along with me. And it's telling everything, it's regulating everything. And then it's telling the instruments, which are like your body systems, respiratory, circulatory, reproductive, nervous, lymphatic, are the instruments. Does that make sense? So the conductor is the endocannabinoid. It's like, are you guys okay? Are you okay? Or you need to do a little bit to help that guy. And over there, here, you help that one. And that's what the ECS is doing. So it's doing a lot and nothing at the same time. Because that conductor's up there going like this, but he's keeping everything together. Or maybe it's a female conductor. You guys decide. So an endocannabinoid deficiency, what happens in the body if this gets whacked out? Just like every other deficiency in the body, what causes deficiencies? It's usually some type of stress or lack of something, right? So when endocannabinoid levels are low in the body, people can actually have clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And we see things, oh my gosh, I can't see that from here. I can't see that from here. Hold on while I squat. Cancer, multiple sclerosis, HIV symptoms, lupus, chronic pain, Crohn's, depression, PTSD, all of these things are related to, they're theorizing now, possible endocannabinoid deficiency. That, especially these guys. Some of these things, if you know anybody who has dealt with these things, or maybe you have.
Me myself.
Right, yeah, she's like, these are kind of those enigmatic things the medical community often doesn't have answers for, right?
Pretty much.
Like, well, we can kind of manage that, or not.
Here, have a pill.
And unfortunately, I think some of you here dealing with this suffer from chronic migraines. You can't escape. It's like this. What's causing this? So research is looking at the endocannabinoid system deficiency in that area is possibly being implicated in some of these hard to treat diseases. A lot of research is being done with this right now. Fibro, chronic migraines, depression, anxiety, IBS, and there's some, if you guys take pictures, there's some research there, you can look at that. But all of the stuff there seems to be no real cure for, which is like almost everything, a lot of things. And they have a major role with this system. I like light bulbs. You can see a couple light bulbs in most people's heads up here. So how does it work? Like, how does CBD play in all this? Phytocannabinoids. So we got the endocannabinoids, remember? Anandamide and the other one. So we have the one that's got like 500 syllables. So we have those within our body, kind of like having estrogen in your body, like men have estrogen too. And then we have phytoestrogens we can get from plants that help, maintain healthy hormonal balance. The same with this. You have your endocannabinoids that are in your body, but we can also support our body with phytocannabinoids. You can just say cannabinoid too, like you don't always have to have phyto in front of it, but it's found in the cannabis plants. Phytocannabinoids are botanical substitutes for those endocannabinoids. Phytocannabinoids, it's actually like kind of spelled wrong in the last one. They're natural plant versions for what our body would naturally make. And there's two main receptors in the body. There's CB1 and CB2. CB1 receptors in the body are primarily the ones that are your nervous system, your central nervous system, brain, spinal cord, the main nerves that come off. And then the CB2 receptors are the ones that go to all the peripheral organs and everything else. So the thing that they say is that the phytocannabinoids really work on the CB2 receptors. But I mean, I'm sure there's influence on CB1 receptors too. So what happens, like what is it? Yeah, anybody here a sciencey person? They like this. It's not going to be too much sciencey, so don't worry. So what happens is there's this enzyme in your body that breaks down the endocannabinoids. And what I know about enzymes in the body, does anybody here ever heard of MTHFR or CBS or any of those SNPs that have gone crazy? Well, the thing is with any of those SNPs, they call them, single-nucleopolypeptide or something like that, SNPs, they, polymorphism, they all control enzymes within your body. That's really what's happening. But those enzymes typically aren't going crazy with the maybe genetic issue that a person has unless it's put under some type of stress. It could be emotional stress, physical stress, spiritual stress, nutritional stress, environmental stress, like mold exposure, like Monty and I. When things like that happen, that's when those funky genes can express and you can have problems, and then those enzymes in your body get whacked out. Hence, the same with this. The FAA enzyme can start breaking down that anandamide, too many syllables, it can start breaking that down really fast so that the endocannabinoid in somebody's body can get broken down really fast under a major stressor, and then they're in trouble with their system is out of whack and things start to show up, right? I mean, you hear about people, especially veterans, they come back with post-traumatic stress. What really happened? You know, all that stress, they have found that CBD is an excellent helper for many of those people. Isn't it interesting that you understand this enzyme is going to start overdoing its job and breaking down that endocannabinoid under stress, and then we're going to start seeing some of those deficiencies. So what happens is that we have CBD will go in and it blocks that enzyme FAAH. So it's like, no, it does a couple other things, but this is one of the things that CBD, does, is it blocks it. No, you can't go break down anandamide. you can't break it down. So it kind of does like the, like Wonder Woman, like that. So that is one way it helps our body, CBD. So then our own endocannabinoid system can, have some recovery. Now the other thing it does is it blocks. If you look at the left, there's a lot of people that use medicinal marijuana for various health purposes or whatever. Some are depression, anxiety, whatever. But the ones that don't want to get high all the time know how to balance CBD with it so that they don't get they don't want to be stoned all the time. So one of the things that CBD does is it directly interacts with the cannabinoid receptor in the body so that THC doesn't go in it. And I've seen moms with autistic children or whatever, they know exactly how to balance the THC and the CBD to get the results that they want. And people, I've seen that with cancer people and things like that, they know exactly if they're using medicinal marijuana, that's how this works. But the other interesting thing is that CBD directly interacts with some of these other receptors. So remember, THC, I don't know if I click the back button. Yes. So CBD, the first thing it does is it blocks breaking down that enzyme, so it doesn't break down the anandamide. The second thing is it kind of like hangs out in the cannabinoid receptor so that like it's kind of having some influence on that, but it's not allowing THC to come in as much as possible. And then the third thing it's doing here is that it directly interacts with these 3 different receptors, and there's more too. They're finding more and more with research. But the opioid receptors, which, isn't there been a lot of talk about opioid crisis in our country? Like, most of you probably Minnesotans, you know, we lost Prince 2 years ago from opioid overdose, addiction. So CBD goes directly into those opiate receptor sites. That's why so many people, I have a friend who I've been harping on him for over 6 months, maybe a year. He has some severe stuff going on in his back, degeneration, and he's from Canada, and I'm like, dude, it's fully everything is legal up there now. I'm like, get some CBD. He's like, tells me a week ago, Jen, I finally got some CBD. No, he gets on our little webinar we do, and he's like, I feel so good. I got the CBD from my chiropractor, and I'm like, isn't that a novel idea? And his pain is gone. So I'm like, nice. Where'd you learn about that first? So it's also direct interaction with the dopamine and serotonin receptors. So the dopamine is, you know, it's like the happy and motivated neurotransmitter in the body. Addiction and depression, you know, like they're actually finding that these devices directly influence your dopamine receptors. That's why so many people are addicted to them. It's like taking a little hit. Have you ever watched those, the research with the mice that go and press the thing, you know, it's like so they can get their little food or a little bit of cocaine or whatever. And then they're getting the dopamine rush. And that's how that drug works too, is cocaine is dopamine. But CBD can go in there and it doesn't have that effect as like bad drugs or the mouse getting shocked or your cell phone. But that's why it's helping some of these people in those areas. And the same with the serotonin. The CBD directly like influences and stimulates those receptors, and it helps with addiction, anxiety, depression. So a lot of people that are using it even for their pets, they get worked up for storms, or somebody who's got more going on. You're seeing this incredible calming response. The other thing I found that was interesting, because I never stopped learning and studying, are these. I found some cool things this morning that I just can't stop. That talked about how CBD blocks glutamate in the brain. I got the research here. I'm going to post these little things. I've got a Facebook group called Live Green Earn Green. I'm going to post these on there so you can look at them if you want. Just join Facebook, Live Green Earn Green. So that CBD, they say, possibly inhibits excitatory glutamate and helps the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA. So glutamate is like your brain's on fire. The GABA is the it's all good neurotransmitter. So, and there's another one that CBD increases serotonin by activating the receptors. And this is research. I'm going to show you where to get research later, so you can start your own arsenal of stuff. But that's how this, this is how it affects the body directly. So, in all reality, CBD is not directly affecting a disease. It's helping, remember, the conductor of the orchestra tell everybody what to do, so then everything's happy in the body. So, you ever heard of an orchestra that's not in tune? Next time that ever happens, you're going to think of CBD, and you're going to wish that they put it in the air so that the instruments can play together. So what's the evidence, with all this? And there's so much research coming on this now. Like they can't even, it's just coming fast. Because they really have, they just, started understanding the endocannabinoid system in recent years even. So here's been some research that shows that it helps with bone support, especially after trauma. So that's really cool. Also bone growth. In general, if somebody's growing or maybe has an issue in that area. Remember, CBD can be used for your pets as well. Anybody use it for your pets? Yeah, there's quite a few of you here. How many have used it on your pets and not even yourself yet? Right? Some of you do. The pets come first, always. They're looking at studies now that are showing that CBD can be protective of the cardiovascular system. You guys are probably thinking, well, is there anything it doesn't do? Right? So what's coming in the future with research is there's more potential uses for hemp CBD. You're looking at this possibility of having it support cartilage and joint function, reducing muscle pain following exercise, promoting normal cardiovascular health, respiratory function, blood sugar, cholesterol. But as you know, it's not directly affecting the insulin receptor sites, right? You know that it's helping the endocrine system regulate so the body's blood sugar can come back into line. So that's why CBD, so many people have such a profound result. It's just one thing, but so many people can have different results because remember, it's helping the conductor of the orchestra. And of course, it's extremely regulatory for the immune system. People with autoimmune issues whose immune systems appear to have gone crazy, which they really haven't, there's a reason, but it's very helpful for that. Remember, those CB2 receptors are the most abundant receptors found in the immune system. And the brain. Everybody here sleeps like a rock, right? So we've got these wonderful little things that we have in these bottles that smell so good, which help tremendously. But CBD can help with occasional sleeplessness. It's like, dear brain, shut up. You sit down at night, you're like, blah, 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 blah. That's typically glutamate in the brain, by the way. Your glutamate's like high. That's why you got the blah, 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 and then the brain. And I talked about glutamate just a second ago. Helps relieve stress and nervousness and helps stabilize and normalize moods. I know it seems like this is a one-trick pony for everything, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. So what do you want to look for research? I encourage you to Google using the words cannabis and then put in CBD or hemp CBD, and then put in whatever health condition you're looking to support. And then I just have to be very mindful telling you, there is so much on the internet about marijuana, and CBD, and all these things. There's a lot of junk websites, a lot of opinions, a lot of people trying to sell their stuff. So I would encourage you to look more towards these reputable sources, like the National Institute of Health. These research studies that I just spouted off a second ago came off of PubMed. So PubMed.gov, Medscape, WebMD, Mayo Clinic. These are going to be more reputable sites. And there are reputable, sites that are not government sponsored and all that stuff, but there's a lot of opinions. Everybody's got one, just like everything else, right? So now this is the thing we're going to get into about why you got to be careful. Can you just go get your CBD from the gas station? Just like your oils, right? Get that frankincense from Shell. Now we've got CBD, we got it at the Bed Bath & Beyond too, right? Right. So one thing I didn't tell you earlier is my degree, one of my first degree, is environmental scientist. And I was in college, I got extreme anxiety and panic attacks when I found out at the time when I asked my professor, can we clean up people? Because we learned about all these scary things in the soil. This was like a while ago, like in the 90s. And there's super fun sites, and we talked about all the EPA stuff that when the current still existed and all those things. And my professor said, no, we can't clean up people. It literally, I went ice cold, and I had major panic from that. It was like a physiological response. Because one thing we talked about in school was, it's called bioremediation. There's another term for it that they all said bioremediation. There's another term, but we call it bioremediation. And it's when you can use something alive, like a plant or a microbe or a bug or a yeast or something to clean up toxic situations, chemicals, oil, metals, whatever thing it is. So using something biological to clean up the situation, and then you dispose of the biological thing in a way that's controlled. It's wonderful for the ocean, it's wonderful for lakes and soil and all these things. However, it's not wonderful when you're using a hemp. Hemp is one of the best bioremediating agents there is for pulling metals and stuff out of the soil. And so, besides metals, radiation. So I don't know about you, but I really want to make sure that my hemp does not have radiation, heavy metals in it. Anybody here want the same thing? But it's a wonderful thing when you're cleaning up like a nuclear situation. You know, chlorella, the green stuff, that little, chlorella, it's like an algae, does the same thing. It absorbs massive amounts of radiation and toxins. But this is the same way. So hemp, you have to be very, very careful with the purity that you have. So it cleans up radiation, it cleans up metals. So is all that stuff, are all the hemp products on the market checked for these things? Even if that has not been grown to specifically clean up the toxins, if it's just already in that soil, it's going to pull it out. Like even up here, I know down in Illinois, the soil is really high in arsenic. I'm sure as heck want to make sure my CBD doesn't have arsenic in it, right? It's just naturally in the soil. So we've got to be very careful of that when it's part of the reason for being conscious of what your sourcing is. So the pros of hemp oil is natural, plant-based, non-GMO, no abuse, no cases of overdose. We've got 6,000 years that it's safe, 60 years of use in the U.S. before 1937, and we've got incredible research that's coming along saying how powerful it is. The cons are, there are allergies to hemp. Is it going to be the miracle for everybody? No, just like anything else, right? There are employment concerns, especially if people are not using isolate CBD. THC could show up in there, and they're in trouble. There's been concerns with pregnancy or organ transplant or pediatrics. That's a super gray area. So just like essential oils and the use of being pregnant, it's like that. Hemp oil by itself is poorly absorbed, and it may contain synthetics or high THC. So let's talk about full spectrum versus isolate. There are a lot of different cannabinoids. So here's some, I'm going to get into those. A full spectrum CBD has many of those cannabinoids, not just hemp, not just CBD, contains many cannabinoids including THC. The strength is difficult to guarantee and varies from what's on the label, and the more raw it is, it's usually green or yellow in color, and it has the taste and aroma of cannabis. Just like I showed you this gooey yellow thing here. It was yellow, it's actually turned orange over time. And this we bought, I think in Vegas a couple years ago. It's just a cream. And you have no idea how strong this is. It has no strength of what it is. I have no idea what, but I got it before other stuff was available. So, you guys, I'm like always trying stuff. We got this one here back when Monty's skin was a complete oozing rash from head to toe. And this stuff smells like synthetic raspberries. It doesn't really say. It says enriched proprietary formulated industrial hemp EU from the European Union, natural terpenoids and flavoring. And this was the cleanest thing we could find at the time. It still did its job. And it was expensive. It was $150, I think, for this thing, $900, back like 4 years ago. So that's your full spectrum, but your isolate is just CBD only. So what happens in cannabis, when it's been isolated, it does not have the terpenes it used to have in it. Cannabis itself naturally has these in it. That's why some strains people like to use for relaxing. Some like to use it for pain. Some like to use it for different things. You guys, have you seen some of these terpenes before? Yes. Eucalyptol. Who's heard of that? Right? Supports healthy respiratory. Beta-myrcene, healthy microbiome, healthy inflammatory pain response. Beta-caryophyllene, antioxidant, healthy inflammatory pain response and muscle function, restful sleep. We've got D-limonene. I know you guys have all heard of that one. right? Promotes cellular health and healthy immune response. Alpha-humulene supports healthy inflammatory response and microbiome. Linalool, calming, stress relieving, sleep, mood. We're talking about eucalyptol. Alpha-bisabol, healthy microbiome, healthy inflammatory and pain. You see a pattern? Alpha-pinene, it's one of our ultimate favorites. Good old Frankie, right? So, what happens when you have a CBD isolate, and then it has no terpenes in it, because they find that the terpenes create this entourage effect. When the synergy of all the cannabis components interact with the human body for greater effect than one component alone, it has a synergistic effect. So if you pull the terpenes out, then you got just CBD and you don't have entourage. So what can you do? Well, there's this guy, some of you may have heard of, Dr. Ollie Winker. If you know what kind of terpenes are found in a particular essential oil, you can easily recreate the entourage effect by blending these oils with CBD isolate and again take advantage of the entourage effect. Ta-da! Right? So how do you get started? Well, you got to get started slow. I will tell you this from using those products in the past. And I tried a product that came on the market recently that was an isolate with terpenes in it. And I thought I could use it the same way as that. It was a lot more potent. Does anybody else have that effect? You're like, oh, that made me fall asleep in 5 minutes. I still have work to do. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're real. Witness. We were both like, so, yes, it's like really funny. Just like anything else, you guys and girls, start slow. Like any other supplement, introduce one thing at a time and slowly start with a few drops, wait a week, see how you feel, add more till you get your desired results. Okay? Topically, pretty much go at it, apply where you need, keep going till you get the results. Now, one thing I do want to say, I personally, one of those people, I'm extremely sensitive to these things, and too much. Has anybody ever done too much hemp before and you get anxiety? I'm probably the only freaking person in the room. 2, okay, thank you. 3, thank you. 4, okay. Kind of, she's just like, I'm kind of in. So, this is the story. You gotta, like, less is more. Just like those other things that smell good, the bottles, more is not always better. So start really slow. If you start to feel a little edgy or something, remember, it's doing stuff to your serotonin receptors, your dopamine receptors. If you start flipping light switches, it's time to back off. So, like, there's going to be a really small portion of us that, you know, it's like there's a threshold of building up and the perfect amount, and then there's where you can get too much. Just know that you get too much, back off. Okay? And it can happen with topical or oral, so just start with a little bit. Does that, you guys follow? So, like, if you're working with somebody and they're like, oh my God, I had a panic attack after I tried it, you're like, well, did you do 3 drops of it? That's why. You know? So, like, drops, rub this stuff on, you know, do this with it, you know, all the things you do. So just be aware, because remember, it is a very powerful support for your neurotransmitters. But too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So, that's my confession. Like, I'm the person who's like, light switches, you know, why am I like this tonight? You know, I can't fall asleep. Because, oh, I've been like slathering my body to deal with certain things. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, so that's how you will use it. So, begin slow. When you share, have people start slow, just like everything else. And just start with one at a time. I will say when you use certain available products to you, they're very, very potent and very effective. So typically people start with the lower available dosing option. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? I'm saying, we that day we're like, oh my God, sleeping, not intoxicated or anything. I don't want you to think that. But we were like, wow, we were just all of a sudden like really tired, you know. And because I'm a geared up kind of person, if you haven't noticed. So, so my body was just like, ooh, the volume went down, and it was really nice that I had not, this is the truth, that I'm done here, but I had not been able to take a nap in 5 years. Right? Because of my brain being on fire from the mold. So the fact I was able to use that, and I took a nap in the afternoon and I could still sleep at night was actually